Zoom people, lovely to have you all here. The camera's dropped down a little bit. There we go. That's looking okie schmoky. Anyone who's tuning in now, you are here to get the training that you wanted. So, this is what we've got to do. What's the aim for today? The aim is to be able to give you a knowledge, information, advice that you can actually go off and use to sell, generate deals, improve our conversions. I've got a wealth of information, which I've actually wrote down a load of stuff, 4 pages worth of info. And this is the one thing with sales that a lot of people forget. If you are out actively selling, deal making, however you want to word it, the information that you have in your head, the reactions you get in your heart, and the feelings we get very much based on the actions that we will execute on, the impression other people get. The big problem for the vast majority of people is that they go off and they sell in the way that they're accustomed to or that they like to buy from. Now, here's the biggest problem that you guys have got. If you can only sell in the way that you like to buy, you cannot sell all the people. Think about that. If I turn around and I tell you, hey, JW, hey, Tracy, if you only sell, when you deal make, if you only sell and you're only able to sell in the same way that you like to buy, you're cutting off the ability to sell wide audiences. So think of it like this. One of our big problems we've got, apart from Clubhouse not uploading for the stupid room, is I'll give up with Clubhouse. Anyone who tries to put up in Clubhouse, sorry. The big problem we've got at the moment is this. Say if we go off and we sell via a analytical buyer. So you're an analytical person. At school, they've been called a geek. Often they're having a job like an accountant. They're a real number. They're coders, right? They like the numbers, the stats, all the graphs, all the charts. If you're that person and you're used to buying in that way, when you create your pitches, your strategies, your analysis, the way you handle it, the way you follow up, every single part of it, you base it specific to the analytical buyer. Analytical buyers only make up around 30% of the overall population. So if you sell in an analytical fashion all the time, you like to present the facts and you like to show the charts and the graphs and the things and the that's and the this and the that analytical people like, you will take the whole of the opportunity of the world. I'm going to try and do a third. About that. And that's the only people that you'll sell. All of this will just be dead, wasted land. Now, I don't know about you. I like the idea of if you're going to be able to navigate, if you're not going to be able to sell, hey, Cal, nice to see you. I like the idea of being able to sell to the whole piece of the pie, not just that small bit. Because if you sell to just a small bit, you're limiting what you can do. Today, my plan is to deliver you the ability to really open up our opportunities, open up the world that we can sell to, open up the amount of deals that you can close, open up the way you navigate sales and selling for the rest of your life. Now, if you don't like selling, you're in a fantastic place. I hate it too, but it's a pretty damn necessity. It's a big necessity if you want to be an entrepreneur or business owner. But what we need to do is change the narrative around sales and selling from being this icky feeling to being something that we take absolute pride in, that we execute the absolute life out of, not because we're trying to get a commission, not because we're focused on that, because we've understood the buyers. We've took the processes all the way through to where they're in front of us, but we know this is the right person for me. Then we know how to navigate all of these based around the different buying types, the different personality types, the different reasons that they would want to buy, the reasons they won't want to buy, and we navigate around all of these to find the optimum way to sell to the masses. Do you want everyone as your client? No. Do you want to find a way to identify who's your client better? Well, yes. And that all comes from using our eyes, using our mouth, and using our ears. We've got all these, unless you're very unfortunate. The problem is we're not necessarily using them to the degree that we should, in the order that we should. Think of it like making dinner. Bringing out the dessert first, because you like desserts, isn't the way to go about things. Now, some people might quite like that. But for the vast people, it's going to weird them out. It's going to send them off. You can't always do things in the way that we want to do it. There's a process that goes behind that. And the aim today is to be able to do it. So you might be asking yourself, you're thinking, well, all right, Instagram, all right, on Facebook. Okay, I'm watching this back on Zoom. Hi, doctor. Lovely to see everyone here. Hello, guys, watching back on here. So we're on Zoom at the minute. We're on Facebook Live. We're on Insta. We were going to be on Clubhouse, but my app's not working. So I'm David Angel, and I'm a sales angel. I'm a sales and business coach. But most people out there know who I am. I am not going to spend a huge amount of time talking about the Dave Angel Show. Today, I want it to be about you. But I think it's important for you to understand why the information today I'm going to give you is valid. First and foremost, I've been in sales for 20 years. I know you're looking at my face and you're all thinking, wow, doesn't he look old? And I do. But the reason I say to a lot of people about sales and selling, it is a contact sport. Now, I've worked in jobs where we would make as many as 400 dial outs a day. You might fully pitch 40 people, like fully pitch 40 people. I've had days I've been hung up on by 30 plus people in industries. I've worked in industry where I've had great leads, terrible leads, but I've sourced my own leads, but I've had terrible databases of old clients I've had to work through. And all of these things spread over a wide amount of time has enabled me to see a lot of different things. Things that work, things that don't work, things that I've tried and repeated for a year and in and out, and it still didn't work. And the reason I do this now is I shine a light on the areas that I found have worked and that I have found haven't. And I even be able to tell people about things that I've seen other people do that I've not managed to execute on. Because this isn't about me being the greatest salesman. I'm not. But I've been a great student of the game. I actually suck at sales. Like naturally, sales is not my go-to area. Look at it like sports. I've learned to be good at sport. Every skill I have, every ability I have, everything I talk to you about today is either something that's been created through experience, which was a lot of that. It's twists on old classics that are out of date now, but they've been adapted for 2021. Or there'll be foundations within that sales and deal making has been lasting for years, but the vast majority of people don't even understand they're actually there. So what does that mean for you? That means there's a number of things we can do. We can cut down the learning patterns. Let's look for a minute at phones. Imagine you've got to do phone sales and you've been doing it for 2 years and you're feeling experienced now. That's cool. If you look at it in longevity time, you're a teenager. And that's not being offensive. It is. You have a degree of experience. You've tried different areas. You've done this, you've done that. You've got some results. But you're a teenager. Now, anyone who's watching this, I'm guessing you're over 18. You better be. But think back to being a teenager and remember how you felt about knowledge. Remember how you felt about how much you knew. It was hard to imagine dinosaurs at the age of 40. Like, I literally thought they were dinosaurs. I look back now and I'm like, yeah, you were cool. That obviously weren't cool. You were all right. You knew what was going on. Definitely wasn't cool. But what I did have was very bad foundations. My bad foundations got me through in life. My bad foundations was okay for being that age. But I think we'll all agree now, if you could take the knowledge you've got now and you go and put it into your teenage brain, how different your life would be. And what I aim to do now is to help people, and I've pretty much made it my mission, to navigate sales, deal making, and business, to get them to the stage that they get the results out the back of it. Hey, Elena, I'm Happy Mo. I love that. Hey, Scarlett, I like to check in and see who's here. Guys, you're on Instagram. We've got Facebook here as well, live, and we've got people here on Zoom as well. Clubhouse couldn't work it out. So if you're logging in now, this is all going to be watched back later. If you want to get onto it, you're just going to stay to the end, DM me, Mastermind, and I'll send you the link over. So the aim today, we've just covered me and got the boring stuff out of the way. So if you're joining us, this is great. You don't have to listen to talk about me and how terrible I used to be at sales. But what I want you to be able to do today is come out of this with a set of skills or an increased level of skills on prospecting, objection handling, closing, and generating business. And I'll let you into a little secret. The vast majority of the time, people set up webinars and masterclasses. They're going to give you one of two things. Imagine it like cooking. They're going to give you the ingredients or they're going to give you the recipe. I'm not here to do that. I'm actually going to walk you through in a clear, refreshingly changed step-by-step process, but you can actually go off and use this in your business, with your team, with your ideas to help you generate more prospects. The first thing that we're going to be doing is a 16-point follow-up process. Now, before you freak out, the majority of this you can create and set up in an automated process. So but once you've done A, B, and C, then that one goes through. But here's where we're at with a lot of things out there. Think about the amount of dinners that you cook. The vast majority of people probably got 5 to 10 dinners. Other people out there can cook 50. That variety and speciality that they have got, being able to cook in the kitchen is great. And it's the same in business. I want to give you an idea on how to work out where your prospects are in a clean, simplified process. So at any point on any conversation, wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you can think, where's this person now? Are they here, 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 or here? And then inside of that, there's another 4 categories, but you can work out, okay, so if they're at this stage now, I need to do that. You can ask them a question, you'll gauge, oh, I thought they were here, they're actually down here. So I now need to move them through. And now when you've got this, you can utilize this with your Instagram post. You can use this on your Facebook post. You can use this with the questions you ask, the stories you post, with the polls you put in. And based on the answer in that polls, you again can go, I know what I need to do here. I know what I need to do for Joe. I know what I need to do for Joan. Hey, Joan, listen, has this gone on? And you now know what to do. Now, you don't need to buy anything from me for this. This is free. But if you get to the stage at the end of it, you're like, wow, this guy's good and he can really help me out. There is something I will talk to people about, but I will tell you at the end. And if at the end you want to know more, you literally drop me a message. And you just DM me, whatever you want. Hi, I want to start. Anything you like. And we can have a chat. But if you decide to leave here after this now, I will not be going through with people on Facebook Live or on Insta to go, oh, you came onto my live. You must want to send me some money. If you want to send me money, if you want to get started, we can do. Hey, Erica. Hey, Opulent Minds. Don't know your name, but it's good. Hello, hello, hello. I can't do the wavy things on there because I'm just not that clever. Right, so let's jump into it. So we're going to cover onto objection handling, but first off, I want to go into really breaking down the systems that we're going to use for our follow-up. So why do we need to do it? I'm so hot and I'm drinking a coffee. I'm so stupid sometimes. So I want us to reset for just a minute on exactly why this is important. If you're walking around London now and you've got one of these little clever smartphones, it is rumored that if you went back 10 years ago, 2010 time, and you had a phone, you would typically see 3,000 to 4,000 ads on a daily basis coming into the brain. Now we see between 9,000 and 12,000 ads walking around a city because the majority now is coming from this. So what happens? We turn off from it. So we've got to work out how we can stop our clients doing exactly the same thing. Now, there are a few provisos with this. I don't want people going out trying to strong arm people into buying their products. This isn't about hounding your clients into submission. There's a saying before about a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. And what that really goes back to is you can say clever trickery words that can get someone to agree with you. You can say tricky things to get them to buy. But once they've cooled down, like a really bad one-night stand, shouldn't have probably said that, the regret kicks in. You don't want that. You want to get clients that buy from you because they want to buy from you. So what we've got to work out is how to navigate that process. And now we've had people seeing 9,000 to 12,000 adverts a day. Everything else has actually changed. There's a rule before which said, it's called the 873 rule. What this said was 73% of buyers need clarification on 5 or more points before they'll actually buy your product. Here's the problem. At this point, only 8% of salespeople will still going for the close at that point. And the actual analysis said, but 1% of people didn't even ask for the order. So we're talking about going for the close. We're actually asking if they want to buy your product, going for the close, to close the deal. No big crazy trickery, literally turning around. Would you like to buy my product? Like 1% of people wouldn't even say that. Now, when you work out exactly what you're doing on this and you've got things set up in the pyramid with a 4-pronged process, part of a DMFC coaching method, it'll make sense that you can get comfortable when you go for the close. Because what I don't want you to do, I actually want you to close less. But what I want you to do is get this in the new version right, so you're not trying to close people at the wrong point. It sounds crazy, but I don't want you to close as much. I do not want you to be going into everyone, hammering them for the deal. You don't need to do that. I close less now than I ever have, but my pre-work is done so well that I don't need to. I make it undeniable for people that are my ideal clients. And I want to make sure that you're getting that as well. So what does the 873 rule have to do with this today? Well, a lot. Because this said that 73% of buyers needed 5 or more points before they'd buy. Now, you could class that as actual buying points. We could class that otherwise as the follow-up. So there's 2 parts to it. 1 could be objection handling. 2 could be the follow-up, because we know all deals don't come in on that first button. We know that. But that's because what happened was quite simple. Previously, everyone who's heard the lovely story about what's more important, marketing or sales, when dinosaurs like me started in sales, you had 2 main roles. You would have an opener and you would have a closer. These would be the juniors. These would be the seniors. And as a junior, a lot of what you did was cold calling. You would outreach to small, cheap databases of people, try and gauge interest. That's when people were getting hammered on the phones. That's why that was going on. The internet's mean we don't need to do that. You still want to handle objections, but it's more about being a consultative salesperson with the right methods. This is not what we want you to do. What I want you to utilize is a combination of your smarts and technology to get us to the right point. But the big difference is now, instead of needing 5 or more points, now many people talk about number of 16 follow-up points before they'll buy from you. Now, this can come from a combination of reasons. This can come from not being ready to make a decision, too much competition, paralysis from analysis, blah, 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 all this stuff. If you need me to list off all the reasons people don't buy from you, you haven't been in sales long enough. You know what your objections are. So if we know that we need a 16-point way of following up to find the ideal client, do you have that now? And I'm not talking about they go into your MailChimp and you send them 16 emails. I'm talking about actual following up, delivering value to those people, treating them like the human that they are, the needs that they have, and fulfilling those needs so greatly, not where they need to, but so greatly that they end up buying from you. And this is the big difference. So look at that. Think, what are my processes right now? What's the main things that you would have as a follow-up process? Well, let's break it down for a minute. Let's think about what are our follow-up processes options. Because there's a lot out there. But let's break it down. Let's give an example off the back of this. Imagine for a minute you're pitching me to buy your product or service. You've got me in the DMs, right? So I've already got a bit of an idea of who you are, right? I've seen some of your posts, there's some follow-up in there, fine. We've had a couple of DMs, right? We've talking about a phone call. You've qualified me, but I've got the money, the interest in it, right? Now we get on a phone call. With 6 points in, people. What happens now? People get on a call. They do their pitch. They ask for the order. And even if you've been amazing, this is the good thing. Phone conversations, you can hit out some of these out of the park. But even if you've done the equivalent of 8 follow-up points in here, they're still not quite at the edge. So what do you hear as an objection? You hear simple stuff. I need time to think about it. I'm not quite sure. I want to ask my partner. Valid point. But why are they really asking that? Why are they saying that? Because they haven't hit that 16-point follow-up process. So say you end here, and then you put them into an email sequence. You send them a message. You try and get them on another call. But what happens is the thermometer, you've got to excuse my drawings, they're shocking, of interest, this drops off after that time. You don't want to use the phone call conversation till they're at the stage that they're actually ready to really want to get into it. And I'm going to show you how to avoid this. The big problem is this has just been brought in too early. People are in too much of a rush to get them on a phone call. Now, it's different in B2B. But in B2B, there's a very different way of doing this. You can use the structure I'm going to show you, but in a B2B, you can really jump up. Because if you're doing B2B and you're doing phone calls, you could do 8 follow-up point equivalents. Imagine like credits. Instead of saying follow-up points, we'll say you need 16 credits. Right? And an email might be 1. A phone call could be 6. Bad phone call could be 2. A bad phone call could be -2. So you go back. This is why it's so important to be so clear on exactly what you are doing. So what we need to work out is, what do we need to do here? What's the main things we need to bridge before, for example, a phone call comes in, or a face-to-face meeting, or they go to the website to buy your product? You've got to navigate all of this in a clear and concise way. For people that are coaches, this is ridiculously important. If you are getting a low conversion rate on people that are going into your phone calls, that are pre-qualified, and you've asked them all the questions, this is why. Because we're too much in a rush to go, oh yeah, I'll get them on the call. Oh yeah, they'll ring them. No, we need to get all this done beforehand. So that's going to be our aim. So that's our target. Now this sounds terrible and daunting. We all start freaking out. A 16-point follow-up process, Dave, that's ridiculous. But you're not getting the deals anyway. So you want to work out, hi Cameron. So we've got to work out a process to get this in place so that people out there get the results that they want. Because all you're doing is wasting your time and theirs. For anyone who hasn't heard me on Insta, Facebook Live, or if you're watching this on a Zoom, I can come across a bit harsh. I do have very much a no BS approach, but I hope you appreciate it, because the fluff is great, until you're on a sales call and you just put an hour's worth of your best pitching into them, but because they're so early in the process, you know they're not actually ready. And then you're caught in a moral dilemma. Do I keep going? No. We should have had that process in place. There's a number of things that we can talk about. I can break down a phone call for you in like 45 minutes on the way to do the phone call in the better way as well. There's a 4-step process on a phone call. I am not doing that today. That's something which I do keep for people that pay, because listen, if I give you everything, then you wouldn't need me. But what I'm going to do today is give you some of the other side. So let's get into the process on exactly what we need to do. So our first point out there is to work out exactly where the people are within our database. You can do this when you get off the phone, off of the Instagram, off of Zoom. You can use this on your Instagrams, on your Facebooks. You can do a poll, you can do a survey, do a quiz. Based around, quizzes have got 4 questions, right? Each one of these to find out where your audience are. And every single person in your audience is in one of these 4 boxes. So if everyone in your audience is in these 4 boxes, what does that tell us? Makes it a lot easier, because then you can change. Anyone who's been on my Instagram recently, you have seen I've been doing a huge amount of call to actions. I've been back testing for the last 4 weeks, the difference on doing a huge amount of call to actions, like every day, and then doing a spell. So I did 2 weeks of doing pretty much no call to actions, 1, maybe 2 a week. Then doing 2 weeks of doing them every day to doing 2 weeks of literally doing 1 or 2 with lower posts. And the less call to actions actually work. But increase the amount you do on your questions, your polls, your surveys to get you that information. So our main 4 categories here. So at the bottom, I'll kneel down. I'll read them out for you in a minute, don't worry. So this was not actually created by me. This is from a book I read. I don't claim to know it all. But what I've done is I took this, I tweaked it and polished it to make it into a 16-step process. There's my disclaimer. Number 1, this makes up 60%, so 60%. This makes up 60%. So 60% of people are in a stage where this is a problem unaware stage. Forgot my words. So that means they're unaware of you, your problem is the problem you fix, the solution you've got, the fact they've got a problem, or they just don't even care. Even if you could fix it right now, they're not bothered. Next one up. 20% is a problem aware. So they know about the problem. They know there's an issue here. They know there's something that needs to be resolved, right? When people start going, oh, yeah, oh, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. And people are like, wait, let's get on the phone. Doesn't help you. Next point up. 17%. I'll write this a bit bigger in case you can't see it. 17% are information gathering. So you took them from not knowing what the heck you do. Now they're at a stage where like, oh, that sounds interesting. Now you've made it almost like an itch. They've got to scratch. You've literally got them to the stage where they're like, blooming heck, I need to fix this big problem I've got. Hey, Callie girl. Hey, Dan. So now they're itching to scratch. Now you get them up to the buying now stage. So all you've got to do at any one point is work out, where is your audience in this 4? Because when you know where this 4 are, now you know what to do. Because at this point here, the 3% that are buying now, when they're at this stage or high here, this is where you want to jump in to being on the phone. You don't want to jump on the phone just to give information. You've got information. You can answer questions. Too many people try and get on the phone at this point. They've told you they're interested. They've got potential client. They've got this. Oh, cool. We get on a call. I will talk about phone calls. We'll even talk about booking in a phone call, and then we'll ask questions after. And then if it doesn't seem like it's going to be up here, then we'll come out of it. Because if we have something like this, and this gets uploaded to different websites, so if you're watching this back, thank you very much for watching back. We hope you're enjoying it. Anyone could be watching this back in 6 months. There could be 50 people watching this right now on a watch back. So then we can navigate people onto this to show them in more detail, so we don't even need to get on a phone call. That means when people become problem aware, do you know what you need to do? You have something like an evergreen webinar, like we're recording right now, people. Because now we become problem aware. This doesn't take any of our what? Our time. So now, if you've got an evergreen webinar in here, what happens now? Julie says to me, Dave, I love your product. I would think about hiring a coach. She seems qualified. She's not quite on the edge. What do? I send her this copy of this. What happens at the end of that? She might even be at the stage she's buying now. But she's going to at least be information gathering, or she'll decide she doesn't like me. If she doesn't like me, I'll just take her off the system. Then what happens? Now we're up here. Now what happens? Now we look at getting on a call. What happens then? Then we've got a higher chance of converting that client because they know, like, trust me, they've seen my training, they've seen it, same as you're doing now, hopefully. And if you're not, that's fine too. Why is that? Because we're not trying to sell everyone. I don't need to sell everyone. I bring a small amount of clients through on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Hey, Sandy. Hey, Arca Packing. I can't see who's on Facebook Live because it doesn't show me it's linked on Zoom, but hi all the same. So what happens now? We get to information gathering. We get up to the buying now stage. We get on phone calls. We start doing it. But here's the question. How do we navigate this? This is where we need to get back to. So you've got this stage. You've got this info. You've got your 4 stages. Now you know where people are. What have we got to do? Well, the simplest thing, say someone's problem aware, unaware. Get them to the stage where they're talking about it. How do you do that? You start making posts. You start creating content that will engage these people. Go for it like a season. And you appeal to these people. A week, 2 weeks later, notice it on you'll see it on my posts as well. Start doing things for people that will know about your problem or service that you solve. You start asking content, delivering content, posting content stories, doing surveys, doing clubhouse rooms, that gets them to the stage that they start asking questions. They start gathering their own info. Then what happens? You start putting calls to action to get them on a phone call, and they start buying your product or service. So now we know what to do. Now we know the process. What do we now need to do? Now we need to, I'm going to leave it for a minute so you can jot anything down you need. Now what we need to do for you lovely bunch is give you a breakdown of exactly, if anyone's not sure about what I do, right, that's my whiteboard of organization. Make it straight. I shouldn't have moved it. There you go. Very happy doing. Right, there you go. Then I'll do. I don't know why I moved it. Okay. So now what we've got to do is we need to combine this amazing pyramid of information and put it into a clear and concise way that you can utilize and navigate through each one of these pyramids. Think of it like a computer game. Instead of trying to work out how you complete the game, what do? Just do the level that's in front of you. Where you are now is where you are. I cannot stress that enough. Where you are now is where you are. The problems you have now are the problems you have. What you've got to do is work out, how do I get out of the problem I've got? How do I fix the problem I've got? So what we do is we take the pyramid, we focus in on a level, And then we break that down into sections. How do I take my people out there? What are the stages for each person? Now, this is the good thing. This brings in a classic foundation. Do you remember earlier we were talking about a foundation? And we take an existing foundation, a classic sales foundation, and we get it into the 21st century. We bring it into 2021. So we combine the classic with the pyramid you've just seen. This will give you your 16, and it's a 4-point. This is older than me, but this delivers results when it is done right. Not when it's half done, not when it's terribly done, but when it is done right. Now, there's actually 8 parts to this 4-part process, and most people out there don't do them. They know the 4, but they don't pay attention to the 8. This is very simply the way it works. First and foremost, you've got to have people's attention. So you start creating copy. Let's focus on this in a minute, right? Let's think of the bottom part of our pyramid, the 60%. For people that are problem unaware. The first thing you've got to start doing is talking about and talking things in detail that will grab their attention. Once you have their attention, that moves them off the first level. We have to build their interest and the idea based around the content and the copy that you create. Asking great questions to bring them up to the next level in this, right? Then, next up is desire. They have to start desiring to progress, desiring your product, desiring your service, desiring the outcome. If you can't build desire, they won't progress. So we're up here. Then we take a big old leap and we do something that invokes them to take action. This could be a poll. This could be a questionnaire. This could be a survey. It could be drop me a DM. It could be vote on a very simple question. Once you've done all of this, we move up to the next level. We do the same again. A week after, you start building up interest, attention, interest, desire, action on the next stage for people that are problem aware, the 20%. You start asking questions, you start getting their brain thinking about crap. Dave Angel actually knows his stuff. Actually, maybe the problems I've got now aren't forever. Get them to start desiring it. Yeah, I want to see that change. Yeah, screw this, I deserve to it. They start believing in themselves. To get them to take some action. To get them up to. They start gathering their own info. Now, this might be something like, you might talk to them about industry articles. You might start talking about your competition. I do that a lot because I'm not scared of competition. I thrive with it. Don't try and repel from it. Don't try and push away from your competition. Start asking questions that get their attention to becoming an owner of your product. Start getting them interested to become an owner or a buyer of your product. You start getting them to desire the idea of actually owning it, living with it 24/7, 365, putting it in their business, having it in their house, give it to their kids, their wife having it, whatever it is. When we get them to start taking action. This is the point. In here, when we are to what? Talk about phone calls. If that's your product, getting them on the website, getting the information out. Getting to this stage, you start looking to get what? Our top 3%. The buy now stage. All of this can be done on that phone call at the end of it. And a lot of this is recapping when you're in the 3%. When you're on a phone call, you already have the rest of this information. So then you've already got their attention. They're on the phone. You recap all the information that you've already covered in the last 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks on the coaching. You find out which was most relevant for them. That one starts building up their desire for your product. At the end of the conversation, what happens? You go for the close, you can start getting them to take action. So if we take our 4 pillars and we take our, I've done 5, haven't I? That's quite funny. We've got 16 points. 16 ways. 16 independent different things to do to tailor your interest for your people. 16 things you can do in your business to navigate people through a process. Posh, by the way, didn't buy whiteboard cloth. I use toilet paper. We can get you to the stage where these people are actually fully immersed in the purchase of your product or your service. But there is more on this. And this is the extra part I was talking to you about. This is the bit that really, really makes a big difference. It really does. This comes down to you. And this is where the whole process completely falls apart. The person doing the work, the person whose business it is, your salesperson, your marketing person, the outbound phone person, the person who's dealing with your leads, your information, your guidance, whatever it might be, however it might be coming across. But people that are doing this, if they are not giving people their full attention, the buyer will suss it. When you're looking to build interest with people, do you know what you've got to be? You've got to be interesting, and you've also got to be interested. Because if you are not fully interested, hey Sam, if you're not fully interested and you're not fully interesting in them, they will go somewhere else. Competition is wider than ever before. If you're going to go through a 16-point follow-up process, which we've just gone through, if you're going to go through the AIDA principle on each one of those 4 different areas, you're going to do all of this work, then you're not going to show them all of your, if you are interested and interesting in helping them, you've done all that work. This is when someone else swoops in. Anyone who's ever in sales and you've contacted someone and they've gone, yeah, cool, I'm really interested, been looking into it. Oh yeah, I'm ready to buy. This is where it normally happens. Because another company, Joe down the road, has gone through the AIDA principle in the pyramid on all 4 sections. He's took them through over 2 months, taken them from problem unaware to being problem aware to being interested to gathering that info. And it was so close. And he suddenly went, nah, the guy's a messer. The guy doesn't really do it. Right? This guy's never going to be a buyer. And I swoop. I'm interested. I'm interesting. As Jordan Belfort says, sharp as a tack. Right? Laser focused on helping and delivering. I'm interesting, hopefully. And I'm interested in them and their business, their purchases, their needs, their requirements, for failures or successes. What happens then? They can sense my desire to the same level, if not higher than theirs. If I've climbed to the top of the mountain and I'm trying to bring you up, I'm bringing you up to my level. So your desirability, you have to, for you to desire it, and you've got low confidence, and I know this is going to work, I desire it more than you. Sorry. Because I can see it like the Matrix. I can see through it all, and I can see where you can go and what you can become. And this is what happens with the coaching all the time. I often will have more confidence in my clients than they have in themselves, and they've known themselves their whole life. Why? Because I see past the BS, I see past the crap, I see past all of that nonsense. And I deliver to those people that promise. And I deliver to it because I have given them fully my full and undivided attention. I have been interested and interesting. I'm interesting, and I'm interested in their success. I have a desire as great, if not greater than theirs. And I am an action taker. Not action man, action taker. And I want to pause for this for just a second. That was a couple of seconds. What do we mean by this? Anyone who's got salespeople, you know your salesperson who never comes in on time and who said they did? They did? Even they said they would. The person who's late on getting their results in, and you keep letting it slide. I'm not saying be horrible to your people, but if you are someone out there but doesn't keep to their word on doing it, I am literally, for me, I get anxious if I'm on time. For me, if I'm on time, I'm late. So I'll turn up to every Zoom 5 minutes before, sometimes even more. I'll go extra mile for my clients. I deliver more. I'll extra research stuff. I give them extra training. We're here right now doing this. I get charged for it. Why? Because I'm an action taker and I expect people to take action. And too many people in sales and in business, and I want to know people's thoughts on this. Remember, we're doing a Q&A at the end, so stick around. We're going to be doing a Q&A. If you break your word to yourself often, this is what happens. I'm on the phone call. I've done a great pitch. I'm pitching Julie. About doing the coaching. Julie's making all the right noises. We've gone through the process. I'm at the end and I go for the close. And she's like, yeah, it sounds good, but just don't really think I'm ready. Imagine two Daves. Dave 1, the person who always lets himself down, doesn't keep to his word, isn't an action taker. Yeah, Julie, I understand. I'm pretty much the same, right? Why? Because I'm used to doing that. What about Dave who keeps his word to himself? I'm hell or high water. Because I'd said to her at the start, because we've gone through it and I qualified hard because I don't like to waste my time. And I've said to her at the start, like, Julie, listen, you don't have to hire me. But if I can show you ABC, are you ready to get started? She's like, yeah, cool. Now we're at the stage, I'm like, hey, Julie, remember at the start of this when I said to you, but if this makes sense, we'll make a yes or a no. We can't work on maybes. And you said to me, either way you make a decision. And I'm cool. If you don't like me, I'll leave now. I won't try to handle that objection, Julie. No, it's not that, Dave. I'm just nervous. What happened? Because I was accountable and I'm an action taker on my own results. When things happen outside of my norm, I do not. Hey, Jay. Hey, Valerie. Hey, Yola. When things happen outside the norm, I just don't see it the same way. That's not saying I force people into my sales. I'm not. But I have pre-framed every conversation. I try and find objections. Anyone who's ever been on a phone call with me for about potentially hiring me knows. I will say at the start, you ask qualifying questions at the start. If someone says to me, oh, I'm not looking to get started until October, cool, let's speak in October. If someone gets on the call and they don't like the product or service, listen, no, I don't really believe it can work. Cool, that's fine. I don't really like you, Dave. That's fine too. But if they're like, oh, I need to think about it, cool. How long do you want? I don't know, a couple of weeks. Great. What's on your mind? What are you worried about? Well, I don't know. I need to speak to the wife. Okay, cool. We're going to cover objections in a minute. But we start going through it. But if you're not an action taker, if you're a person who gives up quick, if you're the person that does not deliver to your clients and you don't deliver to yourself and you break your word to yourself, but when as soon as a bit of resistance comes and as soon as something happens when you get nervous, you freak out because you're not used to being in that uncomfortable position. But I tell you one thing, if you've ever invested in a coaching program and you're a coach, you know the guilty feeling. And this is the big problem for a lot of people out there. There's coaches out there, for example, let's look at coaching as an example. You don't have to be in coaching. Imagine, for example, you're a coach, but you've never gone through the process. Say, for example, you've got a coaching program, it's £10,000. Let's go with that as a number. And I'm trying to sell a £10,000 program. And I've never gone through the uncertainty of what it's like to invest into a program. As soon as I get resistance, what happens? Okay, cool, no problem, buy it. Next one, oh, they weren't ready to buy. But let's look at this. If I've been in that situation, which I have, and I've done the, should I do it? Should I do it? Do I really need a coach? Not really sure. Is it a waste of money? I could buy Bitcoin, right? All this different stuff. When Julie says to me, listen, I need time to think, go, Julie, listen, I hear you. I remember the first time I invested into me in a course as well. Can I tell you what I did? Yeah, sure, Dave, tell me. All right, Julie, thank you. So Julie, I remember feeling sick to my stomach thinking I've got 11 grand in my bank and this is a 10 grand course. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to be broke. And if it doesn't work, it's this. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to be that. What would my friends say? Does any of this ring true with you, Julie? Yeah, Dave, it does. Julie, the reason I know it feels that way is because it's exactly the same as I felt. It's exactly the same. So what happened? Because I was an action taker, when I get to the uncomfortable situation, I'm used to it because I've been there. I have done that. I've experienced this. So I don't freak out with it because I understand exactly what Julie's saying. Because I was in Julie's shoes years ago. I was in Julie's shoes when I needed a coach. I was in Julie's shoes thinking I knew everything. I was in Julie's shoes when she was at the stage, and so was I. When you look at it and you go, I can either just pay the bills and keep getting by, and life's not too bad, and do I really need it? Or I invest into myself and I get the results. But here's the thing that you've got to realize, and this is on this point in general. If you are going to be successful as an entrepreneur, not because you hire me, in general, you are going to have to stand on. I don't know if you can see me. By the way, you guys can't see this, but on Instagram, I'm rocking some bright white socks today. I look like I'll be out on a boat. There's going to be a point as an entrepreneur, you are going to be stood on the edge and you're going to have to make the step off the edge with no guarantees and no safety net. You're going to have to. Anyone's ever seen that video with the lion and all the gazelles running past and he's like, he's ready to pounce, he's ready to pounce, he's ready to pounce. And he keeps waiting and he keeps waiting. He's waiting for like the perfect gazelle or buffalo or whatever it is to come past. And when that buffalo comes, man, is he going to get it? When that buffalo comes past, man, am I going to eat that one up? Suddenly they've all run past. Because the lion was waiting for the perfect situation to come past. He was waiting for the perfect, weak, fragile gazelle or buffalo to come past it to take. But as an action taker, if you are an action taker, you will expect the same from other people. You can relate, you can understand, you can empathize, not sympathize, but you can empathize with their situation because you've been in that place. If you've ever had a hungry belly, if you've ever gone without a meal, you can relate to someone who's hungry. You can go for the idea of what it's like if you've never gone through it. Oh yeah, I remember walking home from school and yeah, I remember being hungry. No, you got home, your dinner was on the side. You were peckish. You weren't hungry, not like that empty feeling. And we can only relate to things on a level that we've done. So, are you giving people your full attention? Are you being interesting and interested? Do you have a greater desire than your people to help them? And are you an action taker? If you are, and you put in place that 16-point process effectively, efficiently, with absolute purpose, with certainty, you invest in the time to work out every single crafted email, every single point out there that you need to get things moving forward, you will get the results. Think about the ways you can contact people. I wrote some down earlier. You can send them a phone. You can do a phone call. Where's my list gone? I can't remember. I'll remember anyway. You can do phone calls. You can do multiple phone calls. You can send a text. You can send a voice note. You can do Instagram, DM. You can do a poll. You can do a survey. You can do a live. There's machines now that can make handwritten letters out for you. Hey, Sherville. Hey, Gabbo. Hey, Official 95. And Shahara. Lovely name. I like Shahara. I hope I said that right. It's a beautiful name. You've got all these ways, and then you take the pyramid, you break it into the fours. If you're tuning in now and you didn't get this earlier, DM me Mastermind and I'll send you the full watch back of the whole thing. It's been pretty epic. So you've gone through each of the 4 stages. Now you've got a 16-point bulletproof follow-up process to bring clients in the door that are paying you money, but you are getting the right results from because you're doing things in an order that match. You're not having your dessert before your starter, which is what people have been doing. We're going to be doing a Q&A towards the end. There's probably about 20 minutes time. So hang around for that. There's going to be no offer. If people want to find out more about coaching, you DM me. I'm not got anything to talk to you about today. We're actually at 94% capacity, so I don't even know what we can do. But I want to see that people get the results off the back of this that they really need. I want people to come out of this with the results they need. So if you're watching this back on the recorded version, drop me a DM after you've done the webinar and say, I've watched it, I need more. And I've got a site to send you to that gives you even more information, even more content, and shows you what you can actually do. This isn't for you on Insta and it's not for you on Facebook Live. This is for the people out there that are watching this back later, because this will be put up online where people can watch it back. And from there, normally we'll see 1 to 5 people every single week that will sign up to a coaching cycle because they've watched it back in their own time. If you do that on Insta or you do that on Facebook Live, you're welcome to message, but you don't have to. This isn't about getting you to buy it from me today. This is about shining a light on what the opportunities that are actually out there for you. I'm gifted like you. Hello, Slash. Hello. Good to see you all here. So we've covered our base areas. What I want to talk about very quickly is our mindset. We're going to spend, I went to say 2, that's 4 in case you're not aware. Where you are with your mindset right now is based on the actions you've took. You are where you are now on the results that you've got. Your mindset will determine that. And if you're at a stage now where you're thinking you can't do more, you can't get more, you can't deliver on life and blah, 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 and it's set for everyone else, that's a mindset shift. And I tell you this for nothing, for absolutely nothing, is if I can sell, you can. I missed some of my best friend's weddings before, one of my best friend's weddings at the time, and we've lost our friendship over it because they didn't turn up to his wedding. I wasn't a groom, wasn't a best man, had nothing to say. And I had crippling anxiety from the back of it. And because of that anxiety, I missed the wedding. Lost a really good friend over it. Because he chose me over other people, because there was a limited amount of people that could have gone to that. I would say limited. I still think he had 150 people. So there was a seat empty at his wedding because of crippling anxiety. And he didn't understand that. And I don't blame him. Like, it was his big day, right? So in short, wherever you are right now, your location right now is your location. The situation you are of your life right now is where you are, but it's based on the knowledge you've got and the actions you've got. Bring in new actions, bring in new information. This big thing here is smart as heck. You can program your brain to do anything you want. Can you get to the moon? Who knows? But it all starts with a certain amount of belief. It starts with taking new actions. It starts with believing the fact that you could get better at what you do. And with coaching, and this is the idea behind that, you will have that process. Now you can go through this full 16-step process. Could take you a month to do. Could take you a week. Could take you a day. Won't take you a day. Take you longer. But you can use that in your business. So then, imagine for a minute, we've got our leads. That's all gone through, and that's amazing. You've got all your information. You know where you are. You've got people that are leads, but you're getting objections off the back of it. I literally wrote a couple of notes down here, but to go through. I want to give you a couple of little bits just for objection handling, just because I think it's really, really important. One of the key ones to be able to do is something which you can use in any sales process. And this isn't something which is stiff or rigid for you. This is something that you can use at any time in a process, but you've just got to fill in the blanks. It's a bit like it's like one of those, you've got a word, blank, words, blank, words, blank, words. And you can change this and adapt this for any product, service, doesn't matter. Because people you're buying and selling to a person, they're not buying really into your product. So what I want us to do in this final lap before we wrap up things for the Q&A is simply this. We break down this into the sub level of what we do with objection handling itself. The vast majority of people that are out there have heard of feel, felt, found. I understand exactly how you feel. Many people have found exactly the same thing. What they found was, This is one way to do something which is called empathize group lead, which is actually the subcategory of it. It's the origin of objection handling for people that are out there. People that are new in there, sales companies that give out feel, felt, found is done because they are new to the industry and probably likely they've never really had any proper training. So they've inherited from the people before them, it was given to the people before them, and that's what happens. With empathize group lead, it's very different. What we're talking about initially is when people talk about feel, felt, found, the reason behind that is for people that have got a kinesthetic personality, or they lean to more kinesthetic senses. So they're very touchy-feely. They talk about feel, they talk about felt, they talk about found, they talk about love and all the senses. And what the idea behind that is you empathize when you get an objection. That makes sense. So objection comes in. First up, we empathize. I understand how you feel. Many people felt exactly the same. What they found was. So that's just one area. It's the most common, and I don't really advise that you use it. Just for the simple fact, everybody out there uses it. And if everybody out there uses it, it's probably not going to be as effective as you might think. And if it's not as effective as you might think, it's probably not going to be getting you the results. And if it's not going to get you the results, there we go. I think you're all still there. My battery was running low. So what do we really need to do with this? Instead, we've got to change it around. You need to work out on how to empathize. So any objection you get in, money, time, use, blah, 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 go, hey, listen, I understand. I know exactly what you're talking about. This would be more for someone who's like speech, right? I understand exactly what you're talking about. And this is not the first time I've heard it. Funnily enough, if you spoke to any of my clients right now, they tell you they felt exactly the same thing that you're feeling right now. And they're normal feelings. Why? Well, because everyone goes through this when they're in a buying stage. They feel about this and they start wondering about money and they start asking questions and they start talking, will we really use it and all this other stuff. And John, let me ask you a quick question. Hey, Anthony, good to see you here. Hey, Sandy. Let me ask you a question, John. If I can show you exactly the reason that they are now happy, successful clients, would you be interested in knowing what you've got? Now, that is a very long-winded version of Empathize Group Lead. It's not, I understand how you feel. Many of my successful clients felt the same way, and what they found was, we're going back behind that area. Because actually, you should empathize with people. Grouping them with your successful clients is a good idea. And with any time you handle any type of objection, you want to lead that into a follow-up, unless you're doing a full isolation. So with any point out there, it doesn't matter what the objection is, unless they say to me, oh, I don't like you. If someone's like, listen, I'm not too sure if I even use your product. Really simply, you say, listen, I get you. It's not the first time I've heard this. It won't be the last. Let me tell you this. If you look at any successful business owner, and I approach them with this, they would say exactly the same as you've just told me now. Now, there is something which I'd like to show you. And I think that would seal the deal on getting this started today. Would you like me to show you what that is? We've empathized, we've grouped, we've led. Now you can go down the auditory route. You can go down the kinesthetic route. You can go down the visual route. So if you get people at auditory, so they like sounds, you can change your words. I hear what you're saying, John. And it sounds to me as if with this problem, and you can tell me if you can hear this, if I could show you exactly what my clients did and how they now are really, really happy, you'd be more prepared to listen to that, right? Because we've took Empathize Group Lead and we've took it and put it into this state in which they like to buy because they're more auditory, they like more auditory words. Now, this is nailing it down and getting really, really narrow. But you just need to reorganize what you're actually doing. Because what happens is, yeah, we need time to think about it. And people go, oh, okay, how long you want? I don't know, just come back to me in a couple of weeks. What happens? You call them back in a couple of weeks. Yeah, we've decided not to go ahead. But again, for anyone who's joining us now, that's because you weren't doing the 16-point follow-up process, which you've now got. If you're at the stage now you're engaged in a conversation and you've already brought them through all 16 points, and now we're at the phone call and you get this objection and now you get it right, then bang, your conversion rates will increase. There are over 200 different ways that you can do these type of objection handling. Most people know 1 to 3. Most use feel, felt, found, and it's pointless. Well, not pointless, but it's not an effective use of your time. If you want to become amazing at sales, if you want to really rock out what you're doing, then you really want to take this more seriously. Because if you're spending all the time just on lead generation and waiting for the deal to fall into your lap, you are massively limiting the amount of work you can actually do. So, the live people have gone. It's just now me and you. So this is the point now where there is a 5-minute point that I want to talk to you very quickly about. If you're here now and you're still watching this back, that's because you're really sat on the edge and you're thinking about doing coaching. Now, not only do I fully appreciate and value exactly what you're doing, but I also want to make sure that people really understand exactly what coaching can deliver for them. So what I've actually done is I've set up a very clear process to help you within the business get the results that you need. Now, there's a number of things that actually can happen. I can deliver a huge pitch now about what you could do to get the results out of your business. And I can. And there's an offer I've got here, which is 120-day fully intensive coaching that gives one-on-one coaching, an online platform, all the other stuff. And it's sort of £16,800 as a ticket price. And at the moment, we have got a couple of people who have brought in at 10K. That's fine. I don't really have the time to bring people on at the 120-day period at the moment. The maximum I can bring on is 2 or 3 people. So as you're watching this back on the recording, what I want to do is propose this. We've seen huge results in the first 7 to 14 days of people out there that have been coming in. Currently, the success rate for the online 30-day program, the 6-figure plus mastery program, is 79%. That means inside of that 79% of people that have started on this program, which is £2,997, have cleared the minimum of the cost of the program and twice again. So that means they've made at least £6,000 in cleared profit extra than what they had before they did it. Now, that knowledge you take away for the rest of your life. You can increase your sales by 30 to 200% with this program and pay £2,997. Now, what that gives you is very clear. You have a breakdown over a 4-week period. Each week, you get an intensive 1-hour live coaching one-on-one session with me. From there, you have the ability from step 1, deep dive in your business. We find blind spots in your business and we find basically missing money. We find how you can get quick deals to pay for the course and get money coming in the door. I've got some people inside of 10 days, typically, but we'll see an increase of 30% because they know what to do. They streamline their prospecting, their upsell, their conversion rate, everywhere out there. The vast majority of people inside of 2 weeks would have covered at least the program, at least the cost. That means that after the 2-week period, you've actually covered the minimum of the cost of the program of $2,997. And I have a very high percentage of people then upgrade into the 120-day program that we have. And if you do that, that's actually deducted from its $2,997. So if you do want to do this and you are serious about this, there are spots available for the $2,997 over the space. We are now the 14th of June. And this is going to be continuing for the next 4 weeks until it moves into the final stage where instead of being at $2,997, it will actually be at $3,997. So by getting in now, you're going to be saving an extra $1,000, and it means you're not having to commit to a 120-day program. Get results, get the information you need. If you want to do this, you can either drop me a DM for a phone conversation, or you can click out of this and book a call, or you can go to the 6-figure plus masteryprogram.com. That's the 6, either the number or the word, figure plus masteryprogram.com. And I can show you right away on the phone call exactly what to do, or on that website, you can actually click the button, make the purchase and save that extra £1,000 and get it for just $2,997. I look forward to hearing back from you, and I really do appreciate your time today. Have a great day. One last thing, just before you go anywhere. I have just recorded a fantastic interview with one of my favorite clients recently, Jeanette. She was sat on the fence. She wasn't confident. She nearly didn't go ahead. And my gosh, I'm glad she did. And so is she. Here's a really good interview. It's only going to last a couple of minutes just to really seal home with you why this is the real great place for you and your business. Have a watch now, then go to the 6-figure plus masteryprogram.com and get yourself your place.